Hey guys, Chris here, and I'm a Ukrainian Canadian. Today is January 24th, 2024, and let's get to the news happening in Ukraine, and we'll start with Russia today. And before I begin my video, please subscribe to my channel and like my video if you enjoyed my content. Now, let's get to a massive development today, which was a Russian IL-76 aircraft which crashed today in Belgorod Oblast, so very close to the Ukraine border. Again, another embarrassing loss for the Russians. According to this article from the Ukrainska Pravda, they indicate that their sources confirmed that this downing was the result of a Ukrainian air defense, and that this plane was actually carrying Russian, or doesn't matter if it was Russian, but S-300 anti-aircraft missiles. Most likely what the Russians were doing, they were trying to fill in the holes within their own air defense systems in Russia. And I've talked about it previously that right now the Russians are having a dilemma because they need to protect the sky within occupied Ukrainian territory, but also that leaves them exposed in Russia. And so Ukraine the last few weeks has been conducting several UAV attacks on key infrastructure, factories, and latest biggest attack, which I will talk about in my next presentation, is an oil refinery in Tuapse, but also a few days ago was the LNG terminal close to St. Petersburg, which has been decommissioned at the very least for a few weeks, if not months. So this is what the Ukrainian strategy right now is to really cut off their Kremlin's revenue stream. And again, aside from that, this loss for the Russians is also massive, not only monetary loss, because the IL-76 is an extremely expensive cargo plane that is critical for the Russian war effort. They're always transporting, whether it be missiles or military, weapons or men to the front line through the IL-76. So aside from that as well, there's also the experienced crew that the Russians have lost today. And all that together means that this is again weakening Russia's war effort in Ukraine. And also, besides that, it's just embarrassing for the Russians. So excellent news today, a massive win for Ukraine. And this brings me to the next news that is still in development, is an explosion and a fire that is reported right now at the oil refinery and storage facility of Tuapse in Russia. So this is a port city by the Black Sea, 440 kilometers away from the front line, and presumably as a result of UAV attacks. So again, the next few days will confirm what exactly hit this oil refinery. But again, this was 100% the works of Ukraine, and it shows Ukraine's commitment to only hit infrastructure and import military targets in Russia. Again, I think the strategy is to just really cut off the revenue streams of the Kremlin and also its logistics. So again, with more, or I should say less S-300 missiles within Russia, this allows the Ukraine UAVs to operate more freely without having to worry to be shut down by Russian air defense systems. Now, the other story I want to share with you guys is of a Ukrainian hero who gave his life to protect his people from continuous Russian attacks. And you guys may remember last year, the disabling and the destruction of a Tupolev 22 M3 bomber. And this was the work of this man who commanded this sabotage mission. His name was Babii. So this was declassified intel, and we can now confirm that Colonel Babii essentially was the one behind this Tupolev 22 destruction last year. And according to this article, it mentions that he was part of a reconnaissance group that covered more than 600 kilometers on foot through the territory of Russia in order to carry out these special combat missions. And only after this mission, essentially, they had to return back home, and they were ambushed and engaged. And unfortunately, Oleg died. And again, this represents how committed and courageous and determined the Ukrainians are in winning this war. And so I can only, leave a little bit of space to, give my my prayers and thoughts to the families of the lost men, the Ukraine men. They're doing these heroic missions in Russia. And Oleg is among, thousands of heroes right now Ukrainian heroes. They're doing everything possible to defend their own country. So I thought this was a very important story to share with you guys. And last story is Turkey essentially proving Sweden's membership in NATO. So again, I think this is worthy of being reported on. We know that Turkey has been withholding their approval of Sweden's membership because they were trying to essentially get a confirmation from the United States for the sale of the F-16s, which seems to be now in the works. So now Turkey approved this, and so Putin certainly again will win. Will win the performance in terms of winning the best NATO Recruit of the Year award, because, well, again, Putin was campaigning on the fact that NATO is expanding its borders, and we need to do something about it. So now he launched this invasion Ukraine in 2022. But what happened is the opposite effect. More countries such as Finland and Sweden decided that they needed protection. They needed to be part of a strong alliance. And so now they join NATO. And so certainly this is a huge win for NATO because they're strengthening their alliance with Sweden's membership. Sweden is a massive, huge country with some really great military tech. Again, let's not forget the CV-90s that they have given to Ukraine, the modernized Leopard 2s, their own versions of it, their Gripen jet fighters, and they have a very experienced military. And so, Sweden really provides a lot of value to NATO, and this will really strengthen in case, and again, we don't know if that's going to happen, but we need to be prepared for the worst in case that Russia decides to attack a NATO country, whether it be in the Baltics or Poland or some other country. You can really feel much safer knowing that Sweden will be part of that alliance. So congratulations to Sweden. I can only hope that Ukraine will also eventually be approved for NATO membership in the next few years. That is absolutely important, because without that, there will always be a threat of Russian invasions in Ukraine. And so Ukraine needs to be absolutely part of NATO. So that's the video for today, guys. Let me know what you think about the IL-76 crash. I think it's a fantastic news, which will further weaken Russia. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Leave me a like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Slava Ukraini!